welcome, team. Thank you for tuning in today. And welcome, team. And thank you for tuning in to Go Be Great Today, the interactive podcast for all things positive, all things motivation, and all things success. Things that I've learned throughout my journey and things that I'm going along with my journey and just dropping little nuggets of information as we go so that we all can grow, all can be better no matter whatever level that we are in as far as our journey towards success, towards growth, towards reaching and achieving goals. No matter where we are, we always have something to learn. So I ask two things really quickly that you do. You subscribe and then you comment or join the Facebook accountability group. Go Be Great Today, of course. And that way you can bounce questions off of me. I'm able to provide more insight and provide more topics to be able to answer questions. So that's kind of my background, what I do in a consultative role in business, and that I've done for business development for many years. And so that just helps me to give me content to be able to provide moving forward. So that's that. I just wanted to give that because it really is important for the podcast. So thank you for tuning in. Now, for today's topic, given that the date would be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day. Now, before some people that may have a negative opinion or may not want to hear, think, oh, I don't want to be that deep on my day off or something like that. I understand. I don't want to be this deep on my day off either. But it's an important topic that I believe that we can utilize to kind of craft and create and mold success on our own journeys in regards to that dream and in regards to what the intent and the purpose was for the I Have a Dream speech, the vision. For example, we all have visions, we all have dreams, we all have things that we're looking to aspire to achieve within our personal journeys. So, why can't we learn? That's my thing. Why can't we learn as we're all going along, treading along this path, walking along our own path, feeling our way out? Why can't we learn from it? So that's what we're going to do today. Just frame it. Obviously, hang out, have a good time, possibly learn something, take a little bit of a nugget. Like I say, not a chicken nugget, unfortunately, even though it is Monday. So Chick-fil-A, I believe, is open. I'm not sure. Are they open on Martin Luther King Day? Let me know if they're open on Martin Luther King Day or if you had it accidentally. But let me know. As everybody knows, I love Chick-fil-A. So that's something. And there's a lot that actually is behind my love for Chick-fil-A. It's not just the food itself, but the quality of the service, the dedication, all that, the values that they believe in. So that's just that as far as if you've tuned in or if you know me from Facebook, social media, or whatever other following. But I just want to thank everybody. And we're just going to go along the journey, just think about and frame ourselves to put ourselves within the process or thought process of how can we utilize some of the information, how can we utilize some of the wisdom that was in the I Have a Dream speech to craft our own, create our own, come up with our own dream and vision and goal and reality if we do not already have one. And then if we have one, how can we move forward towards achieving that? For me, I believe that the I Have a Dream speech was really impactful and really important. Just to, there's certain times in the history of existence where there's been paths, just like in our own personal lives, where you have an opportunity where you can take one direction or you can take the other. I love the movie The Matrix because you have the blue pill or you have the red pill. You have the opportunity to say, which direction am I going to go in? It could either go one way or another way. That's the same example as any other point in time in our life when we're coming up to making a decision. Even not making a decision could be the red pill or the blue pill, could be the right path or the left path, right or wrong, however you want to look at it. So that's why it's important when we come up to these important decisions, when we come up to these important tasks, these important times, for example, the year where it's January and we're saying, how are we going to, or are we going to set some sort of goal for the year? Are we going to set some sort of journey or destination? Are we going to set some bar to try to grow from or learn from? And a lot of times, especially now, what I hear in my background where I was doing personal training for many years, a lot of people have gotten to the point where they say, I'm just not going to set a goal. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to set myself up for whatever could be potential what they look at it as failure, that type of thing. So there's an obvious frustration in the fact that we've tried before and we haven't been successful in the way that we think that we were not successful. So for me, it's how do we actually create these goals? How do we get past that point? Because otherwise, if we just sit there, obviously we're not going to grow. And what a lot of people do, they just sit there and they just lay in comfort. You look up one day and we look back in our past and we say, you know what? I didn't accomplish what I think that I should have. I've wasted time, which is the most important commodity, and something that we just can't get back. No matter what, no matter whatever area of life that we're looking at, we can't get time back. As I said, billionaires, multimillionaires, they've done any and everything they can to try to reproduce time, to try to extend time, and it's just not possible. So if they can't do it with all the resources, with all the doctors, with all the technology possible, it's obviously something that we just haven't figured out yet. Could we at some point? I don't know. Who knows? That's for somebody smarter than me to figure out. But for right now, we can't get that time back. So that's why it's important when we come up to these points in our lives where everybody is, especially in January, especially in all these opportunities that we have day to day. That's why I say go be great today every single morning. So that way, when we wake up, we say, we have an opportunity. Each day is an opportunity. And I want us to think about this. Each day when we wake up, we have the opportunity, whether we were successful the day before, does not matter. Whether we weren't successful, whether we put something off, we can wake up and say, all right, this is the day. A lot of times people don't go towards that path until there's a level of frustration. But each and every day, we can figure out ways to say, this is the day I'm going on that path. So that's what we're going to unbox throughout this conversation, try to figure out. So, most importantly, we want to make sure that we have a dream. We have a dream, we have a goal, we have a vision, even something that makes us uncomfortable, something where we say, you know what, I'm not sure if, something that's on the back of our mind. A lot of times we see it, we think it's there, but then we easily just suppress it because we say, I don't want to not be able to achieve it. We have to have that. So, whatever that is for you, then that's what we need to unearth. We need to dig that up because we're going to make steps towards making that possible. We're going to get closer in 2026. That's why it's important to subscribe, to follow, comment along. You now have an accountability group, I promise, where we are going to keep people accountable. If nothing else, you can check in on these podcasts once a week to where I'm going to be posting and keeping people accountable and saying, let's stay on this path. And then by the end of this year, I should say, then we will have a point where we'll look up and we will have been that much further along. And so that's really the key. That's really the goal as far as this podcast, as far as everything that we have going on. It's all just pieces of accountability to where when we come up to obstacles, for example, I didn't plan that, where we come up to obstacles where we are able to get through those obstacles, where it's not something that is going to completely shut us down, where we can think on the fly, where we can work on the fly, and we can still reach towards success and end up in some level of success and as far as whatever we were looking to achieve. So everything isn't smooth. For example, this happened, wasn't planned. Everything isn't smooth, but when we are prepared, when we have everything set up, for example, previously I have my setup where it wasn't on the fly. There was a situation that happened kind of like that where screens and something popped off or the camera would shut off or something, audio would be messed up or something like that because we weren't completely prepared for that opportunity. And that's when stress, that's when nervousness, that's when anxiety steps in because we're not prepared. There was a multimillionaire, big time CEO that basically said the only time, really, if you think about it, if you sit back and you look and analyze the situation, you calm down, take a breath, and we say, why was I frustrated? Why was I stressed out? Why was whatever happened? I woke up, something happened with the bank account I wasn't expecting. I drove to work, I was late for work, wasn't expecting that. I did this, whatever happened, something came out of the blue, wasn't expecting this injury, this whatever. I look up one day, weight snowballed, I'm out of shape, blah, wasn't expecting it. This happened, whatever ended up happening, something happened at work, wasn't expecting it. A lot of times, what happens is it's the fact that we were not already prepared, either one mentally, to know that, hey, something's going to happen. Along this journey towards success, we have to be mentally prepared, knowing that there's going to be obstacles, as opposed to me just shutting everything down, closing out this podcast, which I've done before. Levels of growth. See, I'm one level. Hey, I was already prepared for it. I was ready for this fight. One level beyond where I was before because I was prepared for something like that to happen. If it was a situation where, let's say, like me, I'm in a board meeting, giving a presentation, I'm in a very important presentation, something like that happens. I'm not prepared for it. Now I'm nervous. Now I'm stressed. Now I've got anxiety. Why? Because of a lack of preparedness. On our way to work, we're running late to work. We had to get the kids ready, had to get the food, clothes, blah, this and that. Yes, we can't control kids. Kids are going to wake up. They're going to be all over the place. You're chasing one while one's running somewhere else. And then this happens. And hey, why don't you have your food ready? Why don't you have your backpack ready? We need to get to the car. Where's everybody at? Where's Johnny at? He's in the bathroom. He's all the stuff we can anticipate. But what we can do is we can be better prepared for situations along the journey to where everything is already previously packed, everything the night before, during times where it's calm, where you have that opportunity, you have that extra time where we're already prepared. So Johnny may be doing backflips upstairs, but that's fine. All of his stuff is ready to go. It's by the door. And then we run up and grab Johnny. Hey, Johnny, you may be 10 seconds slower, 30 seconds slower, a minute slower than what we would have been. But at least we are a little bit more prepared and not as stressed because let me just grab Johnny. We jump into the car. We're a minute behind regularly scheduled. If we left in advance, not within 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes before, hey, if I look at GPS, I'm 18 minutes away and I only have 20 minutes to get there. Now there's that opportunity for stress. There's that opportunity for anxiety. There's that opportunity for why is this car not moving? That type of thing. And now we're yelling, screaming, kicking. It's everybody else's fault. Is it everybody else's fault? No. Let's be honest. Let's backtrack. We could have been better prepared. So just a couple examples real quick on the fly of being prepared. And along this journey, that's what a lot of people really fail to be mentally prepared for. And then also they fail to be physically prepared for some of these certain situations, which is why everybody quits when it comes to goals. So taking that next step from the last video where I was talking about getting started with goals, taking that step, saying, hey, we're going to accomplish that goal this year. Now it's knowing there are going to be obstacles. When I sit with personal trainers, when I go when I'm sitting with businesses, helping them start up. A lot of businesses in my profession, I'm in the commercial real estate office space, and a lot of business owners. We have business owners either that I've talked to previously, helped. Hey, this is your opportunity to have your first business. Or a lot of them are newer. They're nervous. They're anxious. They're saying, man, I just hope this goes well. What can I do? I'm really excited. I'm really gung ho, but I'm more so worried. What suggestions, what advice do you have? Hearing a lot of people have heard that I've had a business before, still have a business, and I have more than one business now. But they hear that and they're saying, okay, what advice would you give people that have seen me in my journey? Have asked the same things, and I say, you have to understand that there's going to be obstacles. Probably the most important part. Everybody's gung ho. If everybody gets off the couch and says, this is the day where I want to pursue my dreams, everybody has either had that point in their lives. Almost everybody's had that point in their lives. I can't even say that everybody hasn't. If you say that you haven't, I don't know if I really believe you. You've tried and anticipated, you started something, whether it be weight loss, whether it be starting a journey towards, I don't know, a certification, a trade, a new job, a job application. I mean, you have to have a job at this point. So I guarantee you've stepped out there and put your resume out there to try to get some job that maybe you didn't know if you could get. So we've all had that. We have to understand that there are, even in business, more importantly in business, there are going to be obstacles. So when you go into that, we've started a journey from the last podcast. We start our journey. 2026, this is going to be the year. We're at, what is it, like January 19th or something like that? Yeah, January 19th, Martin Luther King Day. We're at the point where it's like, okay, so usually statistically, about the third week, between the third of, I think, fifth or sixth week, almost it's over 80, 85% of people that started on their journey, started on some goal towards, their New Year's resolution or whatever it may be, new year, new whatever already, or are anticipating quitting, or are frustrated, or just did not start. So, what does that mean? We now have to understand, calm down, pump the brakes. We were prepared for this. We're mentally prepared for this. We're prepared for this now if we were not before. But like when people come to me, especially with consultations, especially with business, when they're frustrated, and my background was business development, and what I've done, I didn't know like the back end what I do with businesses when I'm looking at certain situations with the business, and we're looking and we're evaluating how's this business performed, what adjustments do we need to make in these departments. Um, if you're trying to increase sales, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. We have to look at the broader picture of, okay, what have we done in the past? How have we gotten to this scenario? We're in a point where we obviously need a little bit of assistance, need a little bit of guidance. We've hit some sort of roadblock. That's why I'm here at this point. So it's like, okay, calm down. Let's lay everything out on the table and let's create some sort of strategy, figure out where the issues are. We understand that there's obstacles. We understand there's going to be more obstacles, but now we have to work down this path towards figuring out what we need to do. So, if you're in that mindset, if you're in that point where you're like, you know what, I'm ready to give up again, calm down. We knew that this was going to happen. We know it's going to happen again. So, what do? Let's learn from what ways can we be better prepared, as we just talked about. What ways can be set up if it is business? What things done previously? What things have we not tried? What things were we successful for in the beginning? A lot of times with business will start out, or we will start out, even in general, health, personal. Like I say, that was my other background too, personal trainer. People will start out gung ho, really, really good results in the beginning. And what happens? We start slacking off. In business, people are starting off really, really well. Gung, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're trying this, we're being creative, we're figuring things out, we've got this energy. And what do? We start slacking off. We start losing a little bit of consistency. Let's say we worked ridiculously hard first few weeks, few months, few whatever it is. And then we start to allow obstacles to come. We start to allow excuses to come. We start to wake up a little bit later. We start to not be as motivated. We start to be more tired, physically tired. We start to use that, oh, as an excuse, or oh, I don't have this, or oh, I don't have that. We lack that energy. Or there are certain things that we were doing in the beginning that we thought, which what happens a lot of times with business, is they're doing really, really, really well beginning. And so they start resting on their laurels and they say, okay, well, hmm, they stopped doing this. They stopped doing that strategy. They stopped doing this discipline. They used to make 100 calls a day. They used to make 50 calls a day, whatever it may be. They used to knock on however many doors. They used to do this for marketing. Now that they don't have as much time, they say, now they cut back on this. They start cutting back on that. Well, I don't necessarily need this. That was a foundational piece towards the instant growth. And what ends up happening is, oh, that's all great. That's all fine and dandy. The grass is growing when everything's fine and when everything's blooming, everything's blossoming, when, the grass is being watered, where, everything's perfect. All the conditions are perfect. But then what happens when there's a storm? Then what happens when there's a famine? Then what happens where, something happens where the weather conditions change? Now what? Now, if you didn't plant that seed, if you didn't continue to water that seed, if you didn't continue to do the things that initially were being done, which created that success, that's when we fall off. And so I think that's the next most important part, is the fact that we have to remain consistent. We have to be mentally prepared. We have to create strategies and we have to create disciplines that we're going to stay accountable for. Like I said, we know that obstacles are coming. This may be the point where people are pulling back on the reins, where they're saying, you know what, this may not be it. Again, this may be the point where frustration is set in personally, business wise, whatever goal that we had. That's fine. We understand this. What's important is that we have to be diligent. We have to remember that dream that we had. We have to remember that idea and that vision and what the end goal is going to be. We have to remember, hey, not only am I doing this for a bigger picture, doing this for a bigger vision. We have to kind of go back and then maybe even write down the dream, put it somewhere, place it in places where you know that you're always going to see. Put it on, heck, put it on your pillow, put it in your car, put it in your office, put it in your desk, put it in a chair somewhere. I mean, just write it down to where no matter how often you start walking through life, there's another reminder, there's another reminder, there's another reminder. There's something to keep you on track. Join the Facebook accountability group. Comment on all these posts. I will be a resource. And this is, one of the only free opportunities that people have now, as far as me and the consultations and all that, is to ask questions for me to stay accountable, keep people accountable. I get inboxed all the time. I was just talking to a friend just yesterday about this, as far as in the inbox and the help through situations. Can't give, any and everything, but I can do what I can on the fly just to be able to provide information and keep people, if nothing else, keep people on track. So that's why it's important to have these other resources as we're reaching these obstacles, as we've progressed past starting. Like I say, now we're at the point where we may have obstacles. It's not going as smoothly as we thought. Oh, here we are again. I'm getting nervous because I was hoping that this wouldn't happen. Blah, 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 was gung ho. Life just got in the way. We understand that. Now it's to the point where, okay, we have to push through this first obstacle. We're in stage 1 of 12 of this year. We understand. We know that this was going to happen. And now, okay, let's get past stage 1. We got stage 2 coming up. We're mentally prepared. Let's break through this hurdle. We get to next month, boom. We get to next week, boom. We push through. We push through. We're starting to build that mental strength, that mental, stability, that mental endurance. And now we're feeling better. And as we progress along this year, we're going to be to the point where it's like, okay, we look up and we're like, oh yeah, oh, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. We're in that fight. Somebody goes to punch, life goes to punch, and you kind of duck, move, dodge, boom, boom, boom. Now we're at the point where we're throwing jabs. Now we're throwing jabs back. Okay, we were ready for this. I knew that you were gonna do this. Hey, I woke up, kids running all over. Huh, I was already prepared. I had this ready. Woke up. Hey, I actually woke up early. Woke up a little bit earlier, so that way I wouldn't have to worry about this accident that happened, that type of thing. We sit here and act like we're too big for this. So it's just basic things. It's just basic information. But it's really the foundation because all people, successful people, millionaires, billionaires, when we start getting basically immersed and we start getting, you know, just filled and compiled with activities and with tasks and things that we need to do, we feel like, oh, that's something small. That's something small. Just like what I just talked about with a business that starts up or a health journey that starts up. After we start getting too big for our britches, then we say, that's too small. I'm not worried about that. Of course, everybody would do that. Of course, I'm not worried about that. I'm looking for the big thing, the big idea, the big, step to be able to take. But that has to be what I'm missing. That has to be what I'm missing. And in our journey, we think that, but in all reality, it's the foundation that we need to make sure doesn't have any cracks in it. It's the foundation, it's the daily activities, it's the daily disciplines, it's the strategies. Are we still doing the same daily things? Now, if we're doing that, if we progress past that, if we progress past the obstacles, then okay, yes, now let's. But if we don't have that consistency, if we aren't doing those foundational pieces, then when I look at businesses, like I say, It draws parallels. I see it in business. I see it in people's health journeys as well. Same thing. I see it in people's relationships. I see it. I mean, it draws, all these things draw parallel. And once we master the foundation of one thing, then we can kind of see it, envision it. We can look back in other areas of our lives, understand, hmm, this is the same thing. I need to get back to the basics and to make sure we have the discipline, make sure we have the organization, make sure that we are staying accountable, make sure that we're staying consistent, and then we can build off of. Like I said, we know the obstacles are coming, so that's where we're at this step. Just to reiterate, I'm repeating this because I want people to understand the obstacle is going to happen. We act like it's not going to happen. We act like, oh, we're just, we're immune to it. Like it's not supposed to happen. Like there's supposed to be some big thing that gets us past this obstacle. Like we were playing, we were strategized, we were disciplined, we had everything set up. We didn't think that this was going to happen. It's going to happen. That's fine. Now we just evaluate, we move past, and then we stay consistent. So that's where we're at on this level, on this step. Tune in for next week. We're going to take some steps past that. Let's stay focused on this dream. Let's stay focused on the vision. That dream, that vision, that ultimate goal that we know is going to take time is what's actually going to help us to stay focused on getting better each and every day. Working our way backwards, like I talked about in the last video. And as we'll have this goal, this dream, this vision that's way up here, that's keeping us focused, we're working ourselves backwards towards the foundation. So these are the pieces. This is what I implement. This is what, when I see and I talk to other, or I talk to, leaders and people within that have done really well, that are successful in whatever areas, any area of life. This is the things that they constantly evaluate, look at, and have mastered, is just the daily foundational principles, strategies, disciplines. They are all the same type of person. They're all the same type of leader. They're all the same type of athlete. They're all the same type of. They all have the same foundational. Now there might be there's some sprinkles on the cake, a little bit, but at the end of the day, the foundation for the cake and the breading and the ingredients for the cake is just about the same. So I'll leave you at that. I hope everybody's having a great year so far. Hope everybody's having a great day today. And as always, go be great today. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow. Make sure you like. I'm telling you, we're taking step by step by step in this journey. Today is just another step. Remember, we knew this obstacle was coming. I keep saying it because I have to reiterate almost every single time I'm doing a business consultation. Almost every single time I'm starting with a new business owner. Almost every single time you get this level of frustration. We need to utilize that level of frustration to saying, okay, we knew this was going to happen. We knew it, we knew it, we knew it. So what are you stressed about? Let's work in the opposite direction, or let's work past it, and let's work our way backwards, figure out what we need to do, and let's press forward. We're pressing forward in 2026. Go be great today. Talk to you guys later. Peace.